Well, we knew it takes weeks of preparation, weeks of rehearsal to make a show happen. Little did you know, this one is like decades in the making because of these two right here. Brian Clowdus, not only the artistic director, but one of the stars of Cabaret, and Molly Tynes in from New York. So it's great to see you guys. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So let's go way back, shall we? Let's start in the beginning. Not way back. You're not that old. But the idea for this show came about a long time ago. You guys were in Cabaret together before, right?
Yeah, we met our freshman year of college and we're in a production of Cabaret. And that started not only our love for Cabaret, but also our friendship. And here we are a few years later doing Cabaret again together. You know, Molly's gone on to be a Broadway performer. I've gone on to start a company here in Atlanta. And here our roads are converging. And it's a wonderful celebration of not only our love for the piece, but also our friendship together. So we're super stoked to be doing this.
Yeah. At what point did Brian call you and say, it's going to happen?
Well, actually, it was about this time last year. Even though he had started Serenbe, 8 years ago, 9 years ago now, I had never been down.
Really?
So I finally made it down here last summer to see Miss Saigon. I was here for the opening night. It was fantastic. And during that visit, Brian told me, he took me aside and he said, just so you know, we finally got the rights to Cabaret. We're going to do it next summer. Are you free? And I was like, yes, I'm absolutely free. Here I am. So it's really a dream come true. I pinch myself every day. I can't believe we're finally doing this together.
I love that. Well, you mentioned Miss Saigon, so let's discuss this for a minute. Now, we think Serenbe Playhouse, we think big shows, you know, Hair, Miss Saigon. You brought an entire fair here for Carousel. Kit Kat Club, you tend to think of as a little more of an intimate, almost maybe like a claustrophobic show. Why did you think it would work here at Serenbe Playhouse?
Well, you know, we've sort of expanded the boundaries of what can work in an outdoor environment. And the Kit Kat Club is a mostly interior show. So as you can see behind us, we've created this really cool mix of a space that feels enclosed, but also is open. So the walls have slats in them. There's no ceiling. So you still get this idea of being surrounded by nature. And the location we've chosen, it's like this little square cut out in the middle of all these pine trees. So it still has this really cool interior space. Yeah. But again, you're able to look up and see the stars and see nature, and really playing around with this idea that the Kit Kat Club is hidden in the woods, and you have to go on a journey to get to this really hidden underground club.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you mentioned looking up and seeing the stars. I know as an audience member, it really is magical. What is it like as a performer? Since you've never done a show here before, what is it like to stand here on stage, look up and say, oh, I'm in the woods here?
It's definitely a change. I've never sweat so much in my entire life.
Welcome to Georgia. Yeah.
And I've done, you know, a lot of dance-heavy shows. Never have I sweat this much. Every day I spend the whole show trying to glue my eyelashes back on. Yeah. But it's really magical. In Act 2, when I sing Cabaret, it's late enough in the evening that you hear this like cacophony of frogs and crickets, and it's really magical, you know? Yeah. There's a whole other character in the play that is the surrounding nature, and it makes it really special.
Yeah, well, Sally Bowles is certainly one of the great female roles in musical theater. Where did you start your preparation? Did you look at other interpretations, or did you not want to look at other interpretations?
I mean, I think it's difficult as a person in musical theater not to have previously seen certain interpretations. And the Liza Minnelli performance in the 1972, I think it is, movie was the first exposure I had to the show. So that's always in your head. But Brian and I have talked long about this, about who we wanted Sally to be. We didn't want her to be this one-dimensional sort of just superficial person. And we also didn't want her to be somebody without talent. There's nothing in the script that says she can't have talent. She may be working in this seedy club, but there are reasons that people sabotage themselves and keep themselves from succeeding in life beyond just not having talent. Yeah. So we wanted a little bit more of a complex take than I think sometimes is done.
Yeah. Speaking of complex, not only do you bring your vocal ability and your acting ability, you do aerial work in this show.
It's my weird little back pocket trick, and whenever the choreographer hears that I do that skill, it's in the show, you know?
I love that.
And I love doing it, so I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to showcase that.
Yeah. Well, you as artistic director, you're typically behind the scenes or promoting the shows. Why did you decide it was time to step onto the other side of things here at Serenbe Playhouse?
So this is my all-time favorite musical and role. And when we chose it, I kept going back and forth. Am I in the show? Do I direct it? And I ultimately decided that I would not be happy if I wasn't doing both. You know, I had such a strong point of view, both in the portrayal of the Emcee and also in telling the vision of this story. You know, I had for years since we were, 19, I had this very specific idea of the cabaret I wanted to tell. And Ryan Olivetti stepped in as associate director, and he was really integral in getting behind the vision of the show and allowing me to step into rehearsals, and then he would have second eyes. And also we had our creative team together. We had Bub, our choreographer, CBD, our music director. So we had the team we had worked with for years that really was there to support the vision, get behind it, and allow me to sometimes be director and sometimes take off that director hat and say, hey, y'all, I'm stepping into the show tonight. Go ask Ryan a question. So, but yeah, ultimately, I wanted to do both so bad. I just had to make it work,
Yeah, and this is a character, too, that interacts a lot, I think, with the audience. You being artistic director here, knowing a lot of your patrons, has that been fun to sort of bring them in a little bit?
It's been so fun, because, like, you put the character mask on in the Emcee, and you can kind of do things that you wouldn't normally do as, like, Brian or the artistic director. So it's been really fun to mess around with people that I know very well in the audience. In the
Including, by the way, didn't you call out your mother, your poor mother?
But so there's a section of the show where I bring somebody on stage and dance with them. My mom was in the audience Saturday, and so I brought her on stage, danced with her, and had a little moment with my mom. So
I love that. Yeah. Well, let's go back again. So you've sort of in your head been planning that maybe this would happen someday all these years. Now that you're in it, you're doing it. Is it everything you thought it would be?
It really is. I mean, I have to be honest, I've been in for this part a couple of times at different theaters, and this is the first time that I've been cast. And I'm so thankful that I didn't do it at those other theaters, that I got to benefit from how much Brian has really thought about this script. I mean, I think it would have been a real disservice to the show if he had not directed it. Because he has spent so much time thinking about these characters and thinking about the story and thinking about ways that the characters can be more real, more complex, more multifaceted. The character of Ernst is a really good example. He's often played just very one note, very stern. I mean, he's the guy that ends up being a Nazi, Yeah. He has done something different with Ernst, where he's really kind of a fun party boy for most of the show. And then when he reveals his political leanings, it's actually like really disturbing. So we've have all of these moments like that in the show that are all because of Brian and all because of how much he's thought about this script.
Yeah. Here is the big question. Now, is there a show that the two of you are talking about that, like, in 20 years we're going to see you do? What's the next one?
Well, clearly Roxy and Velma in Chicago.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But who's who?
You heard it.
You have to be Velma.
Okay.
I'll be Roxy on the side with a cigarette.
I love
and
it.
You'll be Velma.
All right. You heard it here first. Season, what will that be? Like 27 of Serenbe Playhouse,
we'll be in
Chicago. I will be too, and I'll be here with you.
Gender-bending geriatric Chicago, starring Brian and Molly.
Like a certain ring to it, you know?
Always breaking down the barriers here at Serenbe Playhouse.
You'll be matron Mama Morton.
Whatever you want. I'll do it.
Yeah,
you asked me to do it. I'll do it. Guys, thank you. Break a leg to both of you.
Thank you.
Yep.